I recognize the member from Thornhill.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. I'm pleased to join my colleagues, the Minister of Children, Community and Social Services, and fellow parliamentary assistant, the MPP for Markham Thornhill, to speak on behalf of Bill 188, the Supporting Children's Future Act 2024, currently under consideration by this House for second reading. We want the best for every child and young person approaching adulthood, and we want to ensure that nobody is left behind in our province. The Minister of Children, Community and Social Services has done incredible work to deliver better outcomes for children, youth, and their families and caregivers who are receiving support from children and youth in the children and youth services sectors. But, Speaker, I'm proud of our government's record in this area. The Ministry of Children, Community and Social Services is there for the people throughout their lives. And it's there for the young people who at age 18 may need to transition from receiving children's special needs services to receiving ministry-funded adult developmental services, including passport funding and disability supports, also known as ODSP. The ministry is there for survivors of gender-based violence who may also be receiving child support enforced by the Family Responsibility Office, also known as FRO. It's there to help survivors of human trafficking rebuild their lives with dignity and compassion. It's there for youth who are involved with the youth justice system by providing them with the right supports and interventions that respond to their unique risks so they can contribute fully to their communities. And the ministry is there for children and youth who in care have experienced abuse or neglect, who now need supports in finding a job, pursuing training, or furthering their education. So these investments on our youth are so important. They demonstrate our government's solid commitment to help ensure that they have a positive outcome. The future is essentially in the hands of the next generation, and supporting youth and providing them with the tools to better equip them and help them navigate through these challenging times. It's not only better for the young people, but it's better for the community as a whole. Every child deserves to have a fair start. And it's not just the children and the youth that are our focus. Through the Ministry of Children, Community and Social Services, the government delivers funds and license programs and services that support people at key moments in their lives and helps them be their best they can be. Bill 188 is only the latest example of how this ministry has stood by the people across Ontario who rely on these many programs and services for support. With the rising cost of living across the province, it is this government that is standing up for Ontarians. We've increased minimum wage to $16.55 per hour just last fall, and we will continue raising the minimum wage with annual increases to reflect the cost of living. Speaker, we're also working across government to make life more affordable. We introduced the Care Tax Credit, which will provide about 300,000 families with up to 75% of their eligible childcare expenses, and the Low-Income Individuals and Family Tax Credit, also known as LIFT, which will result in the Ontario personal income tax being reduced or eliminated for about 1.7 million people. Similarly, in order to continue to bring children out of poverty, our government invested roughly $1.2 billion last year on the Ontario Child Benefit. Speaker, under the minister's leadership, our government is working with a number of community partners and organizations to improve outcomes for children, youth, and families and individuals who need support. We're committing to putting people at the centre of what we do. This past year, the ministry partnered with the Ministry of Health to invest an additional $330 million each year in pediatric health services, including $45 million for children's rehabilitation services. To support children and youth with special needs, the ministry invested in the Children's Treatment Centres, and this includes moving forward on a brand-new facility for the Lansdowne Children Treatment Centre in Brantford. The ministry also continued its work to redesign the child welfare system so that children, youth and families have the supports they need to succeed. On April 20th of 23, we launched the Ready, Set, Go program, which provides youth with additional support earlier in their journey, and that's so important. It helps them to prepare them for the adulthood and guiding them towards work and school opportunities so they can thrive after leaving care, and it was our government that invested $170 million on this initiative program to start youth after care. As part of our efforts, we continue to work with Indigenous partners who are pursuing Indigenous-led models of care and family services. Last year, we celebrated another coordination agreement that supports the implementation of the Kitchen-Uma Kusib in Inuwug Child and Family Service Law, the second agreement of its kind in Ontario. And just last Friday, on April 19th, the Algonquins of Pikwinaganan First Nations made history by becoming the third Indigenous governing body in Ontario and 11th in Canada to have its own child and family service law take effect with the force of federal law in accordance with an act respecting First Nations, Inuit, and Métis children, youth, and families. The law, Nigig Nibi Kigwin, provides a foundation for service delivery system that has been specially designed to meet the needs of children, youth, and families of Algonquin Pikwakanagan First Nations. We look forward to continuing to work collaboratively with the Algonquins of Pikwakanagan First Nation and Canada to support the implementation of the Nigig Nibi Kiwin. Moreover, to ensure students across this province get the nutrition they need, we invested an additional $5 million in the Student Nutritional Program and the First Nations Student Nutritional Program. To build on this investment, we partnered with community organizations to launch the Healthy Students Brighter Ontario campaign. This is part of the first province-wide funding partnership of its kind, helping school-aged children and youth have healthy meals and snacks throughout the school year so they are well-nourished and ready to learn. All of this progress was only possible with the support and efforts of our government's partners, many partners, and frontline workers. As you can see, Speaker, Bill 188 is part of our continued commitment to people across Ontario who depend upon our services. And in my previous life, Speaker, I worked under the Child Protection Act, and I want to take a moment to recognize so many of the important people who worked within that sector, the caseworkers, the social workers, the administrators, the court workers, and all the different professionals within Ontario's social service sector. Your dedication and compassion makes all the difference for those you serve. You truly work as a team and to help our most vulnerable. I was proud to work in that field. The Supporting Children's Futures Act 2024 would, if passed, modernize and standardize important safeguards throughout the child and youth services sector. The bill proposes new and enhanced enforcement tools to support compliance with licensing requirements that are designed to protect the safety and security of children and youth in licensed out-of-home care, including foster care and group homes, and hold service providers more accountable for the care that they deliver. We're proposing changes to better protect the personal histories of children and youth who experience the child welfare system. These changes would further restrict access to child welfare records once regulations are developed. The proposed changes would also further enhance control over personal information for children and youth who experienced child protection to enable them to share their stories freely if they choose to do so. In addition to legislative changes, complementary regulatory changes will enhance Children's Aid Society's oversight by requiring them to conduct more frequent visits to children in care, broaden the list of unacceptable methods of discipline in licensed out-of-care settings, and establish new offences for failing to comply with certain requirements. Speaker, our government is working to ensure that individuals involved with the child and youth services sector receive high-quality care from service providers that support their health, safety, and ability to reach their full potential. All children and youth have access to the resources and supports they need to succeed and thrive. I would also like to note that Bill 188 proposes amendments to clarify when Children's Aid Societies and licensed out-of-home care providers are to inform children in care about the Ombudsman Office and their many functions. This proposal complements an important piece of work that our government launched a few years ago called the Children and Young Persons Rights Resource. We developed this resource to help children and youth understand their rights set out in the Child, Youth and Family Services Act 2017. They have to know where to go or who to talk to if they have questions about their rights, and know what to do if they feel like a service provider is not respecting their rights. The Child, Youth and Family Services Act 2017 and its regulations require service providers to explain rights under the Act to children and youth when they first receive any services under the Act. Explain rights under the Act to children and youth in words that they understand. Be available to help children and youth understand their rights under the Act and answer any questions they might have about those rights. And continue to check in with children and youth about their rights under the Act. We want all children and youth receiving services to understand their rights under the Act, because the paramount purpose of it is to promote their best interest, protecting and the protection of their well-being. The proposed changes would also clarify that early childhood educators can be subject to the offence of failing to report a child protection concern to a Children's Aid Society in line with other professionals. In addition, we are proposing to provide the Lieutenant Governor and Council the authority to make regulations that would allow information other than a formal police record check, such as an offence declaration, to be required in the child and youth services sector. In the future, we intend to consult on bringing forward future regulations to standardize police record check requirements for the youth and child services sector. Speaker, Bill 188 also proposes changes that would enable the Ontario College of Social Workers and Social Service Workers to share information with governing bodies and others in particular circumstances. This includes to confirm when a member of a college is under investigation or when a member poses public safety concerns. The changes would also seek to expand the list of professional colleges with which Children's Aid Societies and other service providers can share personal information. These measures are all to ensure that every child is safe and protected. Speaker, I would like to share some of the public feedback that our partners have shared since Bill 188 was introduced last week. From Carly Kalish, the Executive Director of Victim Services Toronto, we commend Minister Parsa and the government for their commitment to improving the safety, well-being and privacy of children and youth in care through the introduction of the Supporting Children's Futures Act 2024. Every child deserves a safe and supportive environment to thrive, and those changes mark a significant step forward towards achieving those goals by strengthening oversight, protecting privacy, and increasing support for children and youth in care. The government is demonstrating its dedication to ensure all children have the resources and opportunities they need to succeed. We look forward to seeing the positive impacts of these measures on the lives of Ontario's children and families. And Mohammed Farin, the Ontario's Advocate for Community Opportunities, also known as ACO, said, "I want to applaud the government for introducing the Supporting Children's Futures Act 2024. This legislation will complement the mission of the ACO to empower young Ontarians by ensuring that all young people, in particular those in foster groups, in foster and group homes, receive the safest and highest quality of care so that they can succeed and unlock their full potential." And from the Child Welfare Political Action Committee, Ingrid Palmer said, "The Supporting Children's Future Act is a significant move in the direction of enhancing the well-being of children and youth with the child welfare experience. One's time in care should never be a source of harm or discrimination years afterwards. The protecting of the personal histories of this vulnerable community must be a high social priority." And lastly, Nadia George, another volunteer with the Child Welfare Political Action Committee. "A new era is marked, one that could give those who have lived experience in the child welfare system the much-needed privacy and protection rights we deserve. This is something myself and others at the Child Welfare PAC have been advocating for since 2016. Thank you, Minister Michael Parsa and team, for letting current and former foster kids know we matter. Speaker, as you can evidently see, these proposed changes are a result of extensive and continuous consultation with our valued partners in this sector. This is why I urge members on all sides of this House to grant Bill 188 unanimous passage. Passage would bring us closer to achieving our government's vision of an Ontario where all children, youth and families, especially those getting support through Ontario's Children and Youth Services sector, are empowered with the resources they need to succeed and thrive. Speaker, we will continue the work to reform the services and supports that help so many people across Ontario. And we will continue to work with our fantastic network of community partners and organizations to deliver the quality supports and services that, as we partner together on improving outcomes for vulnerable youth and children in our province. Speaker, children and youth are our future. And as I said earlier, these investments demonstrate our government's commitment to help ensure that they have a positive outcome. The future is in the hands of the next generation, and supporting our youth and providing them with the tools that will better equip them and help them navigate a challenging time. It's not only better for those young people, but it's also better for our community as a whole. And as I said earlier, every child deserves to have a fair start. We have to help guide them safely to their adult years and set them up for the successes so that they may realize their full potential and contribute to the province. We're getting closer to that goal. And as somebody who worked in that sector, I'm beyond proud to stand here and advocate for such a monumental change that will affect so many children in a positive fashion. And I want to thank the Minister for doing it.
Thank you.